Hi everyone, Carla here with Opening Chocolate, and today I'm coming to you with a Bar Bits video. Today's video is going to be something that you might be able to share, an interesting piece of information that relates to craft chocolate making. And today I'm going to talk, I was inspired by this bar from Baloo Cacao. They used panela sugar. Depending on where you live, you may not know or be as familiar with panela as some others. So here is my hunk of panela. I don't know if you can hear that. It's hard. It's a hard chunk of sugar. So basically, panela is a raw, reduced sugarcane juice that gets cooked enough to have some caramelization. So technically it's partially refined non-centrifugal sugars. So regular sugar, the white sugar that you see in the grocery store, goes through a centrifuge, which is really fast spinning process that separates the crystals from the molasses, which is why you get that bright white sugar, or one of the reasons why you get the bright white sugar. So this panela is typically used in Latin and Central American countries, but there are equivalents in other parts of the world, and it's not always called panela. So panela is Spanish, rapadura is Portuguese, you have chancaca in places like Chile and Peru, piloncillo, I think is how you say it, in Mexico. Means little pylon because the shape that it comes in sometimes is like a cone shape, like a pylon. They use a different word in Mexico because panela sometimes means cheese there. In India, you can have it called jaggery or gur. Rapadou is Haiti. Raspadura is in places like Cuba and Panama and Ecuador. Papelon is Venezuela. Nam is Laos. Gur is Southeast Asia. So it's essentially the same thing, but this hard hunk of sugar has all different kinds of names. So as far as I know, Colombia is the largest producer of panela, and it was originally created as an easier way to transport sugar. So it's easier than a liquid form, easier than a powder form. It's just this hunk that's easily transportable. Sometimes you will see some health claims made with panela sugar because it's unrefined. So I've seen claims about immunological health, claims about lower GI or glycemic indexes, claims about higher micronutrients. For me, jury's out on all of those, especially the micronutrients, which tag along with basically the dark color minerals and vitamins. It's a dosage kind of thing. You'd have to eat a lot of panela to get benefits from those micronutrients, which means you're eating a lot of sugar, which means the benefits overall go down. So it's not necessarily a healthier sugar for you. It has a higher water content. Sometimes the powder has a little bit less water content, so if you want to use panela to make chocolate, be aware of that. If you're using it in baking, it's pretty much a one-to-one replacement with regular refined sugar, except in candy making when you are concerned about the grains. This is a pretty grainy sugar. It's not, it's got a lot of texture to it. So, like I said, Colombia is one of the largest producers of panela. They have over 20,000 trapiches, which is a panela production facility, and the vast majority of sugarcane there is still harvested by hand. So I'll put a picture of what sugarcane looks like over here. Sugarcane was once the main source of sugar around the world. It is not anymore. Sugar beets are easier to grow in temperate climates. You don't need to have the hot, humid weather to grow. They're also easier for machines to collect, and easier in many industrial ways. So the sugar cane is still harvested by hand, not because they can't do it mechanically, but because it provides more jobs. They then take the sugar cane, they put it through these industrial crushers, rollers. Maybe if you've ever bought a sugarcane drink, you've seen these little hand crank rollers that they go through and squeeze out the sugarcane juice. Think of that on an industrial scale, wheels and cranks that are the size of a human. They go through there, they crush the whole stalk up, they collect the juice that comes out and strain it in a collection pan. The leftover pulp is then taken and dried in several stages to be used to fuel the furnaces. That is the next step for the juice. So the juice goes into the strain collection bin, and then it goes through a series of pots where it's boiled and caramelized. So the first pot, it's reduced 50%. You can imagine working in this place. It's very hot, it's very humid. The steam is sweet smelling, not a particularly comfortable place to work. But the sugar keeps getting reduced, so you're removing water from it, the sugar juice, and it goes through these series of pots, transfer from pot to pot to pot as it gets further reduced and caramelized. So that's what's giving you this brown, nice brown color in the panela. By the time it gets to the end stage, it's hypersaturated, it's grainy, it's chunky, it's bubbly, it's crystallized, goes from a pale white to a really deep caramel color. The last step, when they've got it to the stage they want, they then take the tray and they cool it until it forms like a thick paste. And from there they form it into a shape or press it into a mold. So this one's been molded in a circular shape. Sometimes they just like shape it into a patty and stamp a brand name on it. Sometimes, like in Mexico, they shape it into cones. They can also shape it into smaller dissolvable cubes or balls that you can put in drinks. So that's how you get panela, and that's what panela is. So panela is just a different kind of sugar, different refining steps to sugar. It's still sugar. It is not healthier than sugar, in my opinion, because of what I said before. It does add some flavor to the things that you're baking with. So if you're baking or making it in chocolate, it will add a caramelization, a molasses, a kind of toasty, sweet caramel kind of flavor that you would expect from like a browner sugar or a caramelized sugar. So no surprises there, but it will add flavor notes. If you don't want flavor notes added, then that's something to consider. So I was inspired by this panela bar to talk about panela, a kind of sugar, and that is your Bar Bits video for today. I hope you find that information useful, that you can use it in your tastings, or it's just fun information to know as you learn about craft chocolate. If you want to learn more about chocolate makers, ingredients, places involved with chocolate, make sure you subscribe so that we get to hang out together and talk chocolate every Thursday. And hopefully I will see you next week.